Hello everyone, I'm Siddharthan. In this video, let us build a AI agent that can generate Python code, execute it, and finally return the output to the user. In order to build this AI agent, we are going to use Pydantic AI as our agent framework, and on top of that, we are going to see how we can integrate a MCP server to this Pydantic AI agent. So this AI agent will connect to this MCP server using model context protocol and use the tools it has in order to generate Python code and execute it. So once we are done with all these things, we will also discuss how to integrate this entire system with Pydantic logfile so that we can easily check out the logs and what are all the intermediate steps and outputs that we are receiving. So this will be the agenda for today's video and we can get started. So before going into the video, so please consider subscribing to my channel if you are into generative AI stuff. So I'm constantly like posting videos about the new stuff that are happening in generative AI, and also we are going to work on the projects on generative AI. So please consider subscribing. So the first thing that we are going to do is just go to Google and search for this Pydantic AI MCP. So here you will see a site called as Model Context Protocol. So here we have the documentation to create like a simple AI agent that can perform this code generation. So once you are in this, right, so we are going to build this Python client. So this client will be used in our Pydantic AI agent that will call the server. But before going into this, we also need to kind of create our MCP run Python server. So this is the MCP server that's going to let you create a sandbox environment where you can run your Python code. So just go to this Pydantic AI MCP that we have searched for in Google. So once you are there, so model context protocol Pydantic AI. So in the left navigation, currently you will be in MCP documentation. So there you have to go to this MCP run Python. So once you are in this, right, so you can just like go through this. So MCP run Python package is an MCP server that allows agents to execute Python code in a secure sandbox environment, and it also uses Pyodioid to run Python code in a JavaScript environment with Deno, isolating execution from the host system. So what it basically does is, so Deno is kind of like a JavaScript environment where we can kind of run our code, and the main aspect of this is like this is isolated from your operating system. So the files and the content that's present in your OS and in your systems are not accessed by the scripts that are running. This is because someone can use the LLM to generate malicious code and you don't want to run this on your OS. So we kind of have this sandbox environment where you can run that code safely. So this is also kind of given by this MCP run Python server. So first, in order to install this MCP run Python, you need to run deno run this node modules and JSR Pydantic MCP run Python. So in before even running this, right, we need to install Deno. So for that, just go to Google again, search for install Deno. So here you will see this installation page for Deno. It's a simple step. So once you are here, just choose the operating system. Let's say I'm on Windows and I can select Windows and I need to run this on my PowerShell. So I'll copy this command, I'll open my Windows PowerShell, and I'll just like paste the command that I've copied. So it's IRM HTTPS and the site or the URL that would kind of help me download this Deno. Okay, so it says Deno was installed successfully. So that is the first step. So the next thing that we have to do here is come back to your MCP run Python. We have to run this, but again, Windows PowerShell doesn't allow this line breakages and so on, and we have to like kind of make some changes. So here it's stdio, the standard input and output. So we have SSC, so which kind of like sends output from the server before even the client is asking for anything. So this is like the server side output that we get from this SSC. So we can just choose from stdio, SSC or warmup. So I'll just copy this and I'll show you how you can create this thing. Let me open a notepad, paste this. So we just have to remove this line breaks. So I'll just like remove the separate lines, and then you have to choose one of this. So let's go with SSC, and that's going to help us with writing the logs and all those things. So copy this and paste this in your Windows PowerShell. So I'll paste this. So deno run nr node modules and so on. So let's run this. So this is going to start our MCP run Python server. Okay, so with the SCC transport, and this is running on our port 3001. So this is what we are going to connect to our AI agent, and then it can use this. So if you are not sure about this MCP server and all those things, so model context protocol is a standard way of how LLM can connect with tools and knowledge bases. So if you want to get a clear understanding of the conceptual aspects, I'll give the link of a video that I made recently, so you can check that video out. Okay, so in the first step, we have successfully installed Deno, and after that, we have kind of started our MCP run Python. That's going to create a sandbox environment where we can run our code. And this server, again, mainly as the tool that helps our LLM to generate the Python code and also mainly to execute it. Okay, so let's come back to our client things. This is the first step that we have to do. So come back to your client. So the next step is we have to install the required libraries. So here you have Pydantic AI Slim MCP, the MCP integration of Pydantic AI, and here you have the code to run this. But this uses OpenAI. But let's see how we can kind of use uh, let's say Grok or Olama in this. In this case, we can use Grok, but you can also try with Olama. So this is the command that we have executed just without the line breaks. So I'll open my PyCharm. So I've created a new project over here. So here I'll create a new file called as MCP SSE client. So I'll copy this exact name and create a new Python file, and I'll name this as MCP SSE client. So we can just like copy this and paste it over here. So now we need to install the required libraries. So we need like three libraries here. So I'll do a pip install over here. Let's say pip install. The first thing is Pydantic AI. So the next one is Pydantic AI Slim MCP. So copy this and paste it over here. And again, we are going to use Grok, right? So we have to mention that as well. So you have to say Pydantic AI Slim. Instead of MCP, say Grok. So we are installing Pydantic AI. Pydantic AI Slim's MCP integration and Grok's integration. So run this. So this is going to install like all the required libraries, and this may take a bit of time. Okay. So in the meantime, the code is getting executed. We can just like change a few stuff here. So here, as you can see, there is a URL that says localhost 3001 SSE. So this is where our MCP server run Python, MCP run Python is running, right? So the port 3001, okay? And we can leave it as such. The next step is we have to change the provider and the model details. So let's say that we are going to use Grok. So I'm mentioning Grok over here, and let me open my Google Chrome, go to Grok models, and we can choose a model. So let me choose a pretty larger model. So we have a 70 billion versatile model. So I'm going to copy this and paste it over here. So in order to run Grok or to access this Grok models, you need to save the Grok API key. So those Grok API key you can get from the developer console, or you can just go to Google, search for Grok API key. You should have signed up with Grok. You can sign up with Gmail and other accounts, right? So we have already discussed about this. So just like go to Google, search Grok API keys. Like once you sign up, you can just go to the API key section and create your API key. So I'll name this as Pydantic AI MCP key. So I'll click on verify, and once you submit it, you would get the API key. So this is the key that we need. So copy this, come back to your code, and then we have to save this to the environment variable. So I'll say import OS, and then here I'm going to say os.environ, and let's call this Grok API key. So this should be like uppercase letter Grok API key. So this is where the agent is going to look for the API key. The code is going to look for this model. To access this Grok model, you need this API key, and this is the place it's going to look for. So that's why we are saving it in the environment variable. So other things are like as it is like represented here. So here the libraries are installed. Now we can execute it. We can maybe first go through like what are all the content that we have in our code. So this OS is to save the environment variable. The better way to do this is use a python.env library to load it to environment variables instead of putting it explicitly. Next one is from Pydantic AI, we are importing agent, and then from Pydantic AI.mcp, the additional library that we have installed, Pydantic AI Slim MCP. So from Pydantic AI.mcp, import MCP Server HTTP, and this MCP server mentioned the URL, the port in which like the MCP run Python server is running. So we know that it's running on localhost 3001 SSE. So that's what mentioned here. And then we are creating a agent instance. So from this agent, we are passing the model that the agent has to use. And on the MCP server, mention the server, right? So what this basically does is when a user send a question, right? So this is the place where we kind of call this agent to run a particular query, right? So we send this query, how many days between 2001 this date and 2025 318. So the question is this. So it's like asking the model like calculate the total number of days between this. So now what the agent is going to do is it's going to look in the server that it has, and this MCP server provides the prompts and the tools that the LLM need in order to perform this task, right? So this task can be performed by Python code. So we can write a simple Python code that just like find the difference between these two dates. So that's what the LLM is going to generate. But this MCP server as the tool, which says that this is how you need to, write a Python code, and this is how you need to execute it. So all those information are coming from this MCP server. So instead of writing our own code separately and all that, right? So we are, you know, building this MCP server that can connect with Pydantic AI, or it can connect with any MCPOs. You can connect this to Cloud Desktop or any other systems, any other agents, right? So that's the whole idea of MCP, so that the communication is kind of standardized now. So we are connecting the server to the agent, so that's going to use the tools that's present in the server and kind of try to answer this query, right? So we have this agent that uses this Grok Llama 3.3 70 billion versatile, and we are having this server, and we are running this in an asynchronous fashion. So it's kind of like runs in the background, and we are running this async with agent run MCP server. Result is equal to await. So when we call this, so this is like commented out as like a sample output that we need to see. So once we get this output, we are printing this result, and in order to execute it, this is only the function. Async diff main is only the function, right? So we have to call this function. So to call this function, you can add this particular part of the code. So here they are saying that async run main, right? So we have to run this. So for this, come back to your code, import async. This is an asynchronous library that we have in Python. So this is installed as a default library. You don't have to install it separately. So I'll say import async IO, and then finally below this you can run async IO run main, close the parenthesis. Okay, so when you run this, it's going to call this main function over here in a asynchronous fashion, and it's going to call this agent.run, and later this agent goes and kind of uses the server to perform this task that is required by the user, and then it would give you the result. Let's see. So the output should kind of look something like this. So it should say that these many number of days are between these two dates. So let's run this. So let's wait for the output. See, so there are like 9,208 days between 2001 and 2025 318. So this is how you can create a simple agent that can perform a task with the tools that it has from the MCP server, right? So now the next part that we are going to do is like, now we are all set with the code and everything. We are done with this, but we can connect this to Logfire in order to understand the intermediate steps and basically observe how everything is working. So for that, let's search for Logfire. So you will see this Pydantic Logfire. So Pydantic has kind of created this. So once you are in this, you can create a new account from Pydantic Logfire. So I've already created one. Again, you can use a Google account to create an account here. So once I log in, so this is how my dashboard is going to look like. So you would have like different projects, you have demo projects and all these things and so on. So this is like the organization name, like basically the username that you would give would kind of be present over here. So in this project section, you will see an option called as new project. So click on this new project, and this is the personal account. This is going to be the owner name and the organization name. So here we can give a name for our project where all the logs will be saved. So here I'm going to call this as maybe agent uh, logs or something. Okay, so you can put a description if you want, but this project name is the mandatory field. So I'll just say that agent logs is the project, and let's say that create project. Okay. Now so we have our token, and everything is present over here. So now let's see like how we can uh, connect to this. Open your clients. So if you scroll below, they have given this, right? So you have like import Logfire, configure Logfire instrument, Pydantic AI, and so on. So this is the way to connect to it. Or you can also open this documentation that would give you like more secure way of connection. So instead of putting your token, there is also a way you can use in order to set up your Logfire account. So first thing I'll do is, so we have already logged into our Logfire. We have also created a project. So next we have to create this library, sorry, install the Logfire library. So I'll copy this pip install Logfire command, open this terminal, clear everything, and then let's install pip install Logfire. So this is going to install the library. So now we have to authenticate it. So like, let's try that. So I'll copy this. This is just to check if logfire has installed properly. You will have this helper comments. So logfire has been installed. To check it, you can run this logfire -h. So that's going to give like the different commands that you have, like it's like authorization, clean, and everything. Okay. So now the next part is you have to authenticate it so that Logfire knows your account details, like, and it basically like knows where to connect from. So I'll come back to this project. Uh, yeah, and this is our project, right? So let's click on this. So this is where you will see the logs. So I'll come back. Now keep this browser open. So this is where it's going to kind of authenticate you. Now open this Logfire things. This is the command that we have to run. Say logfire auth. So this is going to perform the authentication, and then it's going to save your tokens to your PC. So it asks for a region. You can just like give any one of those regions, press either 1 or 2. So I'm going to say 1. Press enter, open, just to open your browser. So this will open my browser. So I've already kind of logged in, so the authentication happens. So if you're not logged in, it would ask you to log in and all those things. So if you come back, it would say that your logfire credential has been stored in this specific place. Okay, so that's how we can do this. So the next step is add this code. So we have this import logfire. So copy this import logfire, and then run these two things. So you have logfire.configure, logfire instrument Pydantic AI. Just put it on the top and run this. So previously we kind of ran this, so we got this as the output, but we want to see the logs in the logfire. So let's run this. No logfire project credentials found. Do you want to use one of your existing projects? So what it says is, so we have successfully configured our logfire account, which is this account that you're seeing here, but we haven't selected which project we wanted to connect to. So we have created a project called as agent logs. So to connect to that, just press Y over here. So it says yes, and now it lists all the projects that you have. So you have demo project from this demo organization, and this is the account that I've created, and agent logs is what we are interested in. So press 2 because this uh, project of our choice is present in 2. So when I press 2, that's going to use that project, and press enter. So now our logfire details, all those logs can be checked in this particular URL. So you're seeing this is the final output, and other stuff you are seeing are the intermediate logs that you are saying. Runs the agent run, chat with this model, run this tool called as run Python code, and so on. So all these things happen, and you see this output. You can also click this link, which will open this logfire, and you will see like all this thing. So here we have this agent run, right? So once you click on this, you will see all the steps that it ran. So the user has asked a question called as how many days between this two dates, and now we are calling kind of a tool. So the assistant is using the tool call, which is run Python code. This tool is provided by the MCP server, and from this like we got the output as this Python code that it can execute from datetime, import datetime. So we have the start date as the first date that the user has given, and the end date as the second date the user has given, and we have the days in between, and finally we are kind of like printing those dates. Okay, so this is like the intermediate thing, and this is the output that the LLM gets. So this kind of runs in our Deno environment that we have created, where our Python code is going to get executed, and after that it would just like find like the output of this. So basically what happens is like the first step is creating this or generating this Python code using the tool that we have called as run Python code. And once we have this code, right, so it's getting executed in the Deno environment, and then we are kind of seeing the output. So final output is sent to the model, and the LLM frames this answer as like there are 9,208 days between these two dates. Okay, so this is how this works. So we have our MCP server running on 3000 port, which kind of runs Deno, and it uses this MCP run Python, which is going to run this particular Python code that it has generated. So this is how this entire thing works. So you have a LLM, and you kind of send a question, and the LLM uses the agent. It understands that it needs to generate a Python code. So once the Python code is generated by the LLM, it is then sent to the server, which kind of runs this on Deno. So this Python code is executed, and then you finally get this answer. So this is how you can see the logs. So the things about Logfire are you need to configure your Logfire account, and also make sure that you choose which project it should save the logs there. So these are so this is like the exact time when we kind of executed it. So this is live now, right? So the logs are live, so you can maybe run this again in order to See the output and so on. You don't have to configure the project every time. So once you kind of configure the project once, so it's kind of like configure data. You don't have to do this every time. So when you come back now, you see this second 1138, the one that we have executed now. So when you open this again, you will see like all those things. So the user asks a question, so the LLM knows that it should generate a Python code. So later it's going to use that tool to execute it, and finally it generate a result. So this is how you can create a Pydantic AI agent that can generate and execute Python code in a very safe sandbox environment by using a MCP run Python server. Again, the main aspect is this server can be used with not only with Pydantic AI but with any other MCP clients and host. So this is how we can do this, and again, not just with finding the dates and so on. You can also try to give different queries where the LLM can try to generate the Python code and then execute it. Okay, so I hope you have understood all the things that we have covered today. So please practice this, and let me know if you face any issues in the installation and any of these tips. So I'll see you in the next upload. Thanks for watching.